Thank you for listening to Return to Roots Mil2Vet Resource Podcast, where we document our shared experiences, stories, and transitioning and reintegrating from the military to the community. For more information, go to mil2vet.com. If you have little ears, ensure you listen to the content before you allow them to listen. And if you are in crisis and homelessness, suicide ideations, or incarceration, dial 211 Courage to call for assistance. Now, stand by for the sound of freedom.
All right, Return to Roots. Today we got a Chicago native, 27 years of service, joined up young, retired young, lots of deployments, lots of military time, lots of, hey, man, you know what?
Cool. Shit ton of school.
Man, we'll just get right to it. Hey, listen, man, we're going to have a good time. We got a native, with that Chicago native. We're going to be sitting there talking about some of the great things he's doing in the retired community and the veteran community. Now that he's out, still making a difference. And let's just go kick it off. Angel, how are you?
What's up? How's it going, guys?
Oh,
so
man,
glad to be on here hanging with my brothers.
What's up, bro? Hey, I would have probably thrown in there, hey, this is an anchor chucker. We were able to bring him on our show today.
Oh, man, we're going to sit there.
Yeah, go ahead and just chase it with Quitter. You can just throw Quitter on there. You know, whatever you want to do, man.
Nah, man, you ain't quitting on. We got all the
laughing.
He's still handling business.
Hey, man.
My buddies, my last job, I was the XO of the Global Mail Service, and it's an Army element. So they call the warrant officers chief. So when I got there, they're like, "Hey, chief, how you doing today?" I was like, "What? I haven't been chief for a minute, but hi." It's like, "No, we call it chief officers chief." I was like, "Okay, it's chief." So then this weekend I was in Dallas, and all the Army warrant officers that are in the program I'm in, they call each other chief. So we just call each other chief. It's just really funny.
Yeah, I love it, man. So, like, first off, before we go too far into the rabbit hole, man, I just want to bring to light we're recording on 9/11, and it's been a long time since 9/11 back in 2001, and I know personally I was not serving yet. I was actually a junior in high school, and I remember waking up, turning on the TV. I had a black and white TV in my room. I was
Wow.
I had black and white, but I had like the rabbit ears and all that stuff. And I remember seeing the video of the first aircraft crashing in. No, it was just the smoke from the first aircraft, and they were zoomed in there, and then all of a sudden, the second plane crashed, man, and that was such a tragic day. Such a tragic day, like just shock. I was like, what's going on? And I was a junior high school, so I didn't really know much, but I knew at that point in time that I was witnessing true and pure evil being portrayed on my little black and white TV set. And I know that I was already geared up. I had already signed up to join the Navy. I've been working with a recruiter at that time, and as soon as I graduated, man, I was off. But yeah, where were you at, man?
I was in New York Harbor. I got in the day before. I remember I got in the day before. I still had Chicago Portillo's Italian beef sandwich. That's like our big thing out here. In my lunchbox. When I went to work at VAW 125, the Tiger Tails, we did airborne early warning. First Trade Center got hit. Second Trade Center got hit. CO comes on. Commanding officer comes on and says, "Get down the flight line." He gets us all centered. So we're under attack. This is what's going on. I need these people to get on that COD right there. COD is a carrier onboard delivery. It's a plane that lands on an aircraft carrier. And I was gone. And I think when I was married at the time, and my wife, she said, "Hey, is my husband around?" And they're like, "No, but we need you to pack a bag for him because he doesn't have any clothes with him." And I had my lunchbox, my sandwich, and I was gone. And landing on that carrier, it was we were steaming for New York Harbor to provide air traffic control. Our squadron did air traffic control. It's called Operation Noble Eagle, and we were doing coastal defense and directing aircraft to defend our country. So it's super surreal. When you're in the moment, I think I've never felt a more everyone just was just so focused, like this is what we have to do, this is what we have to do. And sometimes adversity and tragedy can do that to people, but you just could feel the intensity that everyone was experiencing, and it wasn't even like you could take it in, like you didn't have a chance to take it in. And like I think like 2 weeks later when we came back to port, I just completely broke down. I'm like, dude, what just happened? To this day, I can't even look at the footage. I can't watch it. I was at the Bush Museum this past weekend, and I was there a year ago. We'll talk more about that later. But they have a whole exhibit there at the museum for 9/11 and all the things that came after that. And I just, I'm like, I put my head down and just walk right through it. I'm like, nope, nothing to see here. I'm good. Because I knew that if I was going to look up, I was going to completely break down and like lose my shit. So I just kind of like, pretty much a chicken.
It's weird being in South Manhattan now. I was on this crazy road trip a long time ago, and it was like the day before the new World Trade Center, before like, what is it, Trade One Center 1 now, I think is what it's just called.
Sure.
And God, it's a really, really beautiful building, man. It's just it's absolute engineering gem, whoever designed that. But taking a look at like where the two footprints are, thinking that when I was, I think 10 years old or something like that, I went back to visit. I had some family upstate, and we went down there, and that was the biggest thing I've ever been up in was the World Trade Center. And it's kind of weird, like looking at some of these older movies. You can date movies now, like when you look at Crocodile Dundee and you see there it is, and you like look at like some of these movies where what was I watching the other day, Saturday Night Fever of all things, and there it is. You got the things, just you're looking at all these old movies, and it seems so long ago, but it seems also like yesterday that I was driving to Marine Corps base, Hawaii, and it took like an hour to get on base. It was horrible. And then same thing the next day, and there were a lot of crazy changes that happened after that. Like, for instance, remember all the clubs that used to be on the bases, and you had like anybody could just come out in the town, and to like go back, that far right lane going into K-Bay used to be going to the E Club or to the NCO club, and that just shut down forever, and then got back to Japan. Same thing. It's just, you can't, everything's sponsored. And now it's just such a matter of course that it's just the way that it's always been for almost everybody in service now, because people now are retiring with 22 years of service since the reason that they joined up, but it was crazy. It's one of those days that you just remember every little detail of it, because where were you? I suppose that'd be like our parents. Where were when you and Kennedy got shot, landed on the moon? It's just one of those huge
Harbor.
Yeah.
And you have to sit there and go, dude, this is our Pearl Harbor. Holy crap. That really happened.
Yeah,
so, but I was sad to see that the girls couldn't get on base anymore, because I was not getting any dates anyway. So
that for a lot of us, it was the only way that you were going to get any attention from that.
I couldn't even afford a car. I wasn't going to drive.
Yeah, I joined after the fact, so I didn't feel any differences, but I always heard, oh man, the club up here on Whidbey Island was the best club ever. People would be coming from Canada to come down here and hang out and party, and I'm like, was it really that good, man? Because I've seen some
no, if they're bringing Canadians in, there's nothing good about it.
Yeah,
and they're all apologizing, saying they're sorry.
Yeah, man. So you got out, and then you've been pretty active in the community, and you've been you. When I say community, I mean the veteran and military community, and you were able to do some prestigious leadership groups like Pat Tillman's Emergent Leader Program and the George W. Bush, the Institute for Stand a Veteran Leadership Program. Like, how did this experiences with those programs shape your leadership style and career goals?
I'm going to take it back for a second. And I think I've always kind of been kind of a joker, like messing around, hanging with people, right? And every rank I went through, it was, hey, man, look, you made chief. You got to be serious now. You can't be messing around. You got to be serious. Man, that didn't take. So then I make senior chief. I go to senior enlisted academy. And by the way, the senior enlisted academy was not a lot of fun for me because I'm always joking around. Like, you got to be serious. And it's like you had a puppy dog and you just hit him in the face and you like this. That was like what it was like for me at the senior enlisted academy. And I was like, no, I'm not supposed to be like those guys.
Let's do an age check, bro. Let's do an age check. Round 223. What was your class?
What class? I'm sorry.
I was brown, so brown color.
Yeah. I was green 160.
Oh man. Oh man.
And you lost me when you were talking about being in high school while I was out there chasing Taliban. Anyway, so fast forward it. Freaking guppies. So then, you make senior chief, you got to be serious. Nope. Warrant officer. Nope. Okay, look, man, you're going through business school, and when you get to corporate America, you got to be really serious. And it just didn't take. And I've always been kind of someone that connected with people in a really meaningful way through laughter or through, being vulnerable. And I think that all these amazing opportunities came my way, and not just veteran space. I'm also very active in immigration issues. So I do believe I used to help people study for the immigration test. And I would come in uniform and I'd say, hey, look, if you can answer my question, I'm going to practice my Spanish. You practice your English. And if you can make it through by me, then you'll probably pass your test. And it's just the greatest thing in the world. But I also volunteered a lot in the veteran space to help out, bring veterans together. And what I saw was a lot of these opportunities came to me and presented themselves because I believe in good energy. And if you're volunteering and you're helping and you're trying to connect people in a meaningful way, great stuff happens. First of all, you get known for having a reputation of being a giving, caring person, which is good because then you can help more people. They say, call this guy because he'll help you. And the second thing is they want you to be on their board. I'm on several board of directors for different organizations that I'm very passionate about. And these things just kind of come into your life and you have an opportunity to help people. And I started out when I was volunteering to be the director of communications and outreach for Veteran Leadership Council. Then I was the president, direct vice president or something. And then I became president. Then I became a board member. And I just kind of worked my way up. Not because I was doing anything or chasing or trying to climb a ladder, just because I wanted to hang out and help my brothers and sisters. And because I knew people in the city. And I remembered, where I came from and why it was important to get out there and help. And those organizations with the Stand To Veteran Leadership Program and the Tillman Foundation. I also did the Chicago Latino Caucus Foundation, which gets all the Latin leaders in the city of Chicago together. And it's all very centered around servant leadership and getting out there, chucking your ego and doing good for the sake of doing good and for the sake of hanging out with people who aren't trying to elevate their profile and aren't trying to brag about all the stuff they do, but to see that people are not suffering or not having to go through the same crap that they might have gone through.
Well, I mean, sometimes that's the best reward. It's just like some people look at,
it is. It's selfish. It's all about me. I do that exactly. to feel good about me.
Yeah. You sit there and you take a look at, and you were a chief a long time as well. And it's just like, where do we celebrate, most of our happiness. It's like, dude, our guy just got promoted. Dude, our guy just got that award. Dude, our guy just got selected for officer. Dude, our guy just, and it's just like, yeah. And it's just,
And you pound your chest about that, right?
Yeah. And
someone asks you, how do you know you're successful? I'm like, look at that guy.
See
Is
all
that guy
that?
successful? Because if he's successful, I'm successful.
Yeah, at least that's just like, dude, you know you're doing it right. So continue to expand on that to continue to do that with more. It's just like, oh, how many followers do you have? How big's your team? It's like, what you talking about? No, man, I got this team of all these extra leaders. You know, that's what real leaders do. That's where Lombardi's just killing it with some of his teachings, like way back in the 60s. It's like, go make more leaders. You know, you want to.
Yeah, and it creates this energy and this momentum, and I would say almost a gravitational pull, and I call it the Good Dude Network, right? No kidding. And it's other people that are doing good and want to be around that energy and want to be around those like-minded people to continue to build bigger and bigger and bigger. Now I'm doing things that I'll tell you later in the podcast that I literally sit there and scratch my head and go, how the heck did I get in this room? One day they're going to realize I'm a moron.
Hey, well, what was that thing? If you go into the room and you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room. That's right.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, I figure if we got all the stuff to learn, we're definitely in the right room.
I do. And one of the people I was lucky enough to meet was Jim Vasilopoulos when I first got out. And I don't have to tell you guys what I think of him. He's just an amazing human being and a patriot in the truest sense of the word. And I owe the guy so much.
Yeah, we have to thank Jim for introducing us to you. And then Jan Rutherford also was like, yeah, you need to get this guy on here like now, you know?
Oh, man.
Well, I'm glad you got me before I go to Greece and get married.
Uh-oh. You got a little party going on over there, huh?
We do.
You can't get BH overseas. So if you marry someone from Greece, they're not going to give you extra money. You know that, right?
I've heard, but
I don't know, man. This guy's got lots of connections.
Anyway.
He'll figure something out.
Yeah, he'll figure out a way.
I was a personnel man, so I know where all the money is. Did I ever tell you about my career? This is a great segue. So I came as a sonar tech. I was the world's worst sonar tech. I kid you not. I put the headphones on and I started listening to sonar buoys and in the ocean and the whales farting around the water, and I'm out, right? I was the worst sonar tech in the world. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to give you a chance to cross rate. So I became an ABF and I ran around the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, and I had night blindness. So I kept whacking my head into planes and knocking myself out. So they said, okay, you can't do that anymore. Your vision's jacked. So I said, well, my pay is always messed up. I want to be a PN. Well, that took off, and I did really well with that. And because the admin people were so bad at they treated people so poorly that I said, if I ever became a PN or a personnel person, that I'm going to treat people the way I would want to be treated. And when I did, my career skyrocketed. I think I made chief in like 5-6 years after that. And because I would just want to take care of people and their families. And I thought, but here's the transition story. I thought, no kidding. I thought PN was the same as HR. When I got in the civilian community, that HR was like the buddies and the friends of people and companies. They're not. They're not people's buddies.
They're on
the talent acquisition guys are okay, but HR as a whole, not what I thought. Not what I used to do.
Man, there was a PN when I was with the D-backs, Dean Howell, and he was just all about the squids too. There was just he made it a little younger, made it pretty quick too, but he just absolutely had the right mindset. And Dino, we just used to call him, but absolute great chief. I don't know what he ended up doing, how far he made it, because we lost touch after I left, but but he was a DK, I think, by rate too. So he was like one of the guys just never had any money problems. So
yeah. So I was a PN up until senior chief. And senior chief, they said, okay, they had merged the personnel men, the admin guys, with the DKs, with the dispersing clerks, with the finance guys. And they said, okay, you're gonna be a finance guy, the deputy director on an aircraft carrier. And I was like, oh no, I'm not. I was like, those guys go to jail. I don't want you to give me any money. I'll be doing payday loans by Tuesday. No. That's no. They're like, you're going. So I did that, and I had to deal with my dispersing officer. I was like, look, man, you will want for nothing. I will do every piece of paperwork you ever need your entire time you're here. I will bite the bullet. Please don't make me handle any money. I really don't want to do that. And it worked out great. We had a great relationship, and I never went to jail.
Well, so I guess if you were when you got on the carrier, so I would imagine too, being that senior, you probably had enough time for like little projects and stuff like that. One of the check-ins I was checking out in your bio was actually you're leading the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And if it says 6,000 sailors, I was telling you it's got to be on a carrier when you're doing that, man. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was fantastic. I think we did all the focus groups. We did the training. And I think the Navy did a fantastic job of embracing that and saying, let's really get in the weeds and prepare people for what's going to happen. And it seems so absurd now when I consider that I actually kicked people out of the Navy and did their separation for being gay. I kicked smart people out of the military for being gay. It's just the most absurd thing in the world to me right now. But here's the thing, and I tell people this all the time. You know what the biggest difference was between the day before Don't Repeal It, Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and the day after? You know what the biggest difference was? Not a damn thing. Nobody cared. They had a job to do.
Yeah,
we knew who gay people were. It wasn't a surprise.
I 100% agree with you, bro. Like, it was such a bullshit rule. Like, total bullshit. Like, it's like, are you qualified to do the job that's at hand? Cool. I don't care who you call your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. That's not my deal. My deal is, are you qualified to do it? Are you willing and able? Yes, we were kicking willing and able people out for the dumbest things.
And super qualified, super smart. I was like, oh my God, this guy had a 99 on his, or 98 on his ASVAB. He was killing it. And because someone caught him out in town doing something with somebody or whatever, or, you know, they get in a freaking witch hunt, gone. And I'm like, what a mistake.
You know,
what an absolute.
The crazy thing is, and you said it great a minute ago. Actually, both of y'all said it great a minute ago. Servicemen, we didn't care. You know, it's just like it was some idiot in policy written by someone who was clearly probably never in. But for the most part, yeah. Are there always going to be a few people that are problematic and stuck in their ways and whatever? Yeah. But dude, I would say that, and call me crazy, dude, but I would say in the service, we do a much more better, it's horrible grammar, a much better job at being tolerant and just, it's
all just, right, man. We're sailors here. We don't have to be grammar people.
Yeah, whatever. You know, it's just, you know, we do such a better job. It's like, it is a damn. Do your job. You qualify.
We don't do such a good job. I'm going to tell you how I didn't do a good job.
Mm.
So I was the XO of the Global Mail Service here in Chicago, my last tour before I retired. And I had to go to all the different mail hubs around the country. And I had a mail hub in New York. It was in New York. So I get there, and the guy who picks me up at the airport is an Air Force, I think at E6. He's a senior tech sergeant or something. I get in the car, and I want to talk to my people, right? Hey, how you doing? Good. So tell me about, you know, married, kids. Well, my husband and I, you know, we've been together for this many years. Okay, I wasn't really ready for that. All right. You guys have kids? No, we don't ever intend to have kids. Okay, how's mom and dad handling? You know, are they good with everything? Your husband and everything? They died a couple of years ago, and I'm like, wow, I'm really batting 1,000 here. This is great. I'm like, I'm just gonna go in my corner and shut up. I think I'm a jerk.
Sit on this side of the yard. Don't cross the line here. Just stay on your side.
Telling you, dude. Train wreck.
Oh yeah. No, now let me ask you though, man, kind of a little bit more serious, but like especially with regard to this, you know. So 27 years, boom, you're there at the height of it. You know, I can remember before I come in, and it was all talked about, and so it was all the buzzwords in the news, and the government loves to use, man, the military examples, blah blah blah, whatever. So, take some of the hard experienced realities, like you said a minute ago, people getting kicked out for something stupid. What were some of those hard experienced realities besides, say, separation, that service members had to deal with then compared to today? And you go all the way back to your recruit days compared to today, not just the kicking out, but like where better are we now?
We are better. We are a lot better, and I'll tell you why. I'll just go to Chiefs. I'll use the Chiefs initiation, and transition season, whatever it is you want to call it. Becoming a chief petty officer in the Navy, solemn thing, one of my proudest moments. I mean, it was a really big deal. I saw a lot of people, get close, but they never did it, and it was great. But the sense of, and I did this in 2003, the sense of upperclassmen and hazing and abuse and crap we had to go through. You had people that were retired for like 15 years coming out of the woodwork to get in your face to scream at you. And I'm like, what is the value in this? How am I learning from this? And it was just about hazing, and we're going to bond, and it's going to make us closer. Like, no, dude, September 16th, I'm going to beat your ass. And I literally said that, and the two other chiefs from my command came and grabbed me and said, Angel, you need to slow down. I'm like, no, I'm a pretty nice guy, but you pushed me too far. I'm going to hold a grudge, and I don't really let go. Well, it's just going to go fun. I was like, I'm not having fun. I am not having fun. When you gassed me and made me sing I'm a Little Teacup in a Gas Chamber, I was not having fun. So I think, and the WOG Day and all that stuff, don't get me wrong. I love tradition. I love my history. I love Navy history like you wouldn't believe. I think that we've come so far, and people would say we're soft. I don't think we're softer. I think that we have a more capable, more intelligent, just as disciplined force. I think if anyone says they're more dirtbags or whatever, no, we had dirtbags back then too. We had to beat them up because they wouldn't shower or they were disgusting. So I think that you trade one thing for another. At the end of the day, the one thing that changed drastically, and I think the biggest thing when you started incorporating women onto combatants, and I was part of that initiative as well, was everyone was saying, well, women on ships are going to compromise readiness because they'll just get pregnant and they'll get rolled off the ship, and then someone's gonna have to fill that job. It's gonna mess stuff up, right? Now, yes, that does happen. Absolutely. But there are guys that intentionally fake an injury or get hurt or something like that, or compromisers, or they get DUI or they make bad decisions, and they compromise that ship's readiness every bit as much as a pregnant woman would. So I don't want to hear that, because I've had women that when I served, they were 9 months bed rest because they'd had 12 different attempted pregnancies, and every time, and they hadn't served like in any kind of capacity in a decade, right? Because they're busy trying to have children. To the other side of the spectrum, where I had my friend Franny Malone, her water broke in my office. and
she was back to work like 4 weeks later.
Yeah, people are people, man. I mean, you got people that are hardworking and tenacious. Not that I won't mischaracterize. I'm just using it as an example of a situation where someone was not able to serve, to someone that would serve till their maximum capacity. It's just people are people,
Yeah, it's one of the things that just have always kind of aggravated human nature, stereotypes. People do, and that was really kind of an interesting thing. Actually, he says, "Oh, if women on the ships, it's going to bring like what's that?" Well, so my first 3 deployments were on frigates, okay, and right. And here's the thing: is you can't have co-ed berthings. And on a frigate, you would literally have to...
You could. You won't get a lot of work done, but you could.
There's probably going to be some sort of problematics. It's going to be a lot of NECs that are 0055, that's for sure. But no, but the thing is you take a frigate on an FFG, you would like literally have to rotate 30% of the crew on the spot and take one entire berthing. and make it. You couldn't just do that on a frigate. You could get away with that on a cruiser, kind of, on a DDG, kind of, on a DD, yes, because those classes, they just had more berthing. So you could roll in like 10 billets at a time, maybe 15 at a time. But 90, I mean, frigates just went out, like the Kitty Hawk, remember that one? Coming over, and there was they had an integrated crew up over in San Diego, if I remember correctly. Then it came over, but on the Indy, nope. And here you go from in Japan.
They were integrated in Japan. They came over from Japan.
Yeah, but the thing is you go from a non-integrated CV62 to an integrated CV63, and now all of a sudden, big changes there in Yokosuka, big changes there in the air wing. So now it's like, oh wow, dude, hold on, we got what's going on here. HSL 51, when I was there, I remember when they started bringing women into the sea duty billets. Hell, one of our admin on this particular set, she was one of the first 3 or 4, I think, that just weren't on the admin side upstairs. They were down in the maintenance department. And it's interesting watching those changes. And let me ask you this. Remembering, women coming in, it's just going to be big problematic, and we're just going to get preggers and all this. Women are the problem, whatever. What's your opinion of the big shift now with the trans coming into service, or the whole LGBTQ, with those kinds of changes there? Because I think that is today's biggest manning shift, comparably, like integrating women into service then. Or call me crazy, am I out to lunch there? Or is it of a similar impact in people's beliefs?
First, I would say that the military traditionally leads the way in how society adopts the best practices.
Absolutely.
Kind of figured it out. That said, with the trans community, I think that old hats and old mindsets tend to be the biggest problem with anything like that. And I say that because when I lived in Hawaii, I'd never even seen a transgender person, but my kids had in school, and to them it was like no big deal. So I kind of learned from my kids and said, if it's not that big a deal to them, why is it that big a deal to me?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, then I'm the problem. And I think that when we get people to realize the larger issue, and here's the issue: the military is not meeting their recruiting numbers because we are a country so divided for a variety of reasons. Service is declining. Desire to serve is declining. And in the absence, I think it's ridiculous that in the absence of, and this is not political, me trying to spin something that I don't truly believe. This really is something I believe. You have people that have a mindset, I won't serve with a transgender person. Well, that person's dealing with all kinds of things that they're dealing with in our lives. And they're trying to figure out where they fit in, who they are, their identity, their human experience. And it's a lot. And then if someone is willing to serve and sacrifice and is qualified and talented enough to put on their uniform and serve next to me and protect me and protect my family and protect my nation, I think me saying that because your plumbing isn't what you think you should have, I think that's it. And that's kind of a jerk thing to say. For me. And you're going to say, okay, you have this qualified applicant, and because they don't share the same values or self-identity that you share, that they can't serve and risk their life and serve their country and love America as much as you do. That's arrogant as shit. So, but here's the thing. Now, I tell everyone I'm gifted or cursed with chronic objectivity. So the business side of me looks at when you recruit and bring a transgender person into the service, you assume responsibility for their care and their medical and stuff like that for an extended period of time, right? Their hormone therapy, if they want to have the their gender what's alteration? When they change when they change out their organs.
It's
when they have the surgery.
yeah, you got
you're assuming the thing. And John Q. Public doesn't want to be told by conservative people that they're getting strapped with the price tag for that person's life choice, right? They don't want to be told that. The same way they're freaking the hell out with that Tubville guy who's holding, our military hostage from Alabama, doesn't want to tell people that, doesn't want to hear that the military is allowing abortions to be done out of state and the military is paying for people to go out of state and do that, which clearly he doesn't know how to do math. But this isn't really a political show. I'm just talking about the math behind it. I explained it to someone the other day. I said, the cost between having a child till you're 18 and the cost of someone getting a bus ticket to go across the street to have a pregnancy procedure. From an economic standpoint, it's a deeper issue, and I don't want to get too in the weeds, but I look at both sides, and I look at the economic side of it, and I try to see everybody's side. And I think that what's missing in this country is people like us having the opportunity to interact with others and listen respectfully and listen with civility and have a civil conversation. And this weekend at the Bush Institute, that was one thing President Bush said was, you know what? We really need to get back. They issued a press release. We are committed to having a country reunited with civility and respect for all. We need to get back to that. Someone told me that some guy went out. I was at a bar and went off on a holy roller tangent, about his savior and all this other stuff. I said, you know what? I'm glad you told me that, and thank you for sharing that with me. It's not really what I believe, but I can appreciate your passion for it and something that happened in your life that made you so committed to that. And we're good. It's not that hard.
That's a pretty beast mode way to go ahead and shut a conversation down. That's eloquent, and it's a great way. Hey, man, I heard you. I acknowledge. Now, thank you, and yeah.
Well, my friend Rashada Evans, she is the head. Not Rashada Evans. I'm sorry. Rashada Whitehead. She is the head of D&I for Grant Thornton. And when I met her, I asked her such a pointed question, and she blew my mind. I mean, I used to have hair. My hair was all gone right then and there. And I asked her, I said, Rashada, I got to ask you, man. I'm in the D&I space. I just got to ask you, how do you change a company's culture and policy without being branded as the militant black chick? And she goes, it's funny you ask. She goes, it all starts with asking the right questions. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, well, people can come at you with these crazy ass ideas and these policies and this, January 6th philosophies and all this other stuff. And she goes, instead of attacking them and telling them you're a knucklehead and why do you believe that? What do you think that? Maybe you ask them a question. Say, I understand you feel that way. Could you explain to me why you feel that way? Because I'd really like to understand that. And what it does, I mean, it just really kind of set me back. And I said, she goes, you take that person, you show them in that one moment, you show them respect, you ask them questions, and you tell them you want a greater understanding of the things that make them and establishes their identity. And I went, wow. She goes, you just took that conversation from an adversarial conversation to a conversation where that person wants to share. They want to offer. They want you to understand. And you know what? You might not agree, and you might walk away thinking they're still not all there. But you know what? You have not created another enemy. And you know what? You might have in your pocket one thing that you can go chew on when you get home, and it might change your way of thinking about life in general.
No, I agree. Oh, go ahead, Chris. Sorry about that.
I totally like see what you're talking about, man. And it kind of reminded me of something because I am a man of faith, and a lot of people go, oh, well, it's against my religious belief, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, I ask them what they are, and they'll tell me Christian. And I'm like, okay, I'm also a Christian, right? And does our teachings not tell people to love thy neighbor as thyself, right? It's about love, right? Our whole entire our whole entire relationship with Jesus, for me, is about love, right? And that means respecting each other. Honestly, that's what you were just talking about, how Bush was saying, why can't we just have a mutual respect for each other and realize that we're all Americans? We all bleed the same blood. We may not believe the same religious things. You may believe in a flying spaghetti meatball monster, spaghetti frostarian, or pastafarian, right? And you might believe in that, but hey, me and you, we're both Americans, and I'm glad you have the right to believe in what you believe. I'm glad you have the right to marry who you want to marry. And also, if you feel like you're a certain way, that is your thing. I have no right. And I respect others. Like, why can't we just be respectful? We wouldn't, if we just went based off of respect for one another and based off of, do you meet the qualification? Are you respectful to others? Like that right there, then we wouldn't even be having these discussions. But people just want to keep spinning this hate message over and over again. It's really irritates the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying?
Civility.
It does. And
civility.
It is. And one thing that really sticks out is, think about it, and you guys will this will resonate with you. Think about and I'm just going to use Christianity as an example. People that are strong in their faith, truly strong. Is it the person that's sitting there with the Bible in their hand, casting a finger and fire and brimstone and talking about repent and all this other stuff? Or is it the person that's filled with joy and love in their heart that makes you go, I want to know what gets that guy going. I want to know what makes them who they are, because I think that if I'm in turmoil, my heart's in turmoil, I want to ask that guy how they find peace. And that's what's going to bring me in, which gets back to my original good, energy. You got to get the guarantee. It brings people in.
I think that's just another one of those things where we just do so well in the service, and, for instance, one thing that's just lacking right now, the civility in society. But another thing that's lacking, because you kicked off this podcast with everybody was aligned. Everybody had purpose. Like the whole country it wasn't polarized. It was very unanimous. There's a lot of hell. I think that was the one unanimous vote on the House floor, like in the history of ever. There's like one, it's like 434-1 or something, said, hey, we're going to take resolve and go deal with this. I don't know.
It was that to vote for me to retire. They said, yeah, get rid of that song.
Yeah. Yeah. So you take that common thing in society where people are civil. Well, what do we do well in the service? We have a common mission. We have a common goal. We know what we need to do. And I think that's just one of the reasons why service members we get along on sight. It doesn't matter what service you are, So let me tie that in with one next question for you. What difference do you see between, the service's embracement of equality for opportunity versus the civil side? And our ability to have those difficult discussions as service members compared to the civil side.
I think that in the and I can speak for all the services actually. The military does a very good job of rewarding people, but giving people a large amount of responsibility and rewarding them at a very young age. They're also very good at providing a pathway for most people to advance and milestones or stage gates, whatever, to get to that next level. You take a test, don't be a dirtbag, show up in clean uniform, lead when you can, take care of your troops, stuff like that. They do a very good job. It's very structured. It has to be, because we're a structured organization. you have companies that are very flat, tech, startups, where the CEO is right next to you, and it's very flat, and the opportunity to advance could be someone's going to have to croak, or you're going to have to knock them off, or just they're going to have to get fired. Something's going to happen. So you have those organizations. But in my company, I work with at Ernst & Young, and they do a really good job of letting me know, Angel, this is what you have to do. Here's where your utilization is. Here's where you need to have your competency. Here's the things you need to do to get advanced. And they have not wavered from that. They've provided great leadership and mentorship opportunities. They've provided opportunities for me to do things outside of work and kind of bring that into the firm because they see value in that. I don't think all companies are like that. I think some are very stagnant. And you can see that veterans traditionally don't do very well in those organizations unless they just want to just kind of sit there and just go through the motions.
Do you think, would you say we do a good job of preparing our people to be able to easily assimilate into all of these companies that have?
Like, no, horrible.
Okay.
Horrible. And I'll tell you why. There's three organizations that are the key stakeholders here. There's the Department of Labor, VA, and Department of Defense, right? Department of Labor is like, veterans are cool, but we got a lot of people to worry about. We got homeless people. We got people finding unemployment. We got all this other stuff going on, right? Not that they're not trying, but let's face facts, they're overtaxed, right? You got the VA. You know, we got a lot of stuff with the VA loans and the healthcare and all stuff, and we really want to be vested, but employment isn't the top priority, but we're going to commit to it, but it's not really our main mission, right? Transition is not our mission. We'll help the veterans get a job after they get there, but by that time, if you're trying to get a job, it's a little too much too late. And then you got Department of Defense. And what's the Department of Defense job? Warheads on foreheads, defending the nation, right? Forward range. We're too darn busy to worry about veterans transitioning. We're trying to fill that role that they're in because we want to defend mom and dad. So you got these three organizations, and nobody's really taken ownership of it. So you get the outside companies, the not-for-profit space that's getting really good. There's some amazing organizations that do that well. 4Block is one of them. Vetjobs.org is one of them. And militaryspousejob.org. They're two organizations that literally have all these companies that they're hiring for. They have a counselor who works with the veteran, says, if you want that job, you need to do these skill sets, and then we will advocate for you to get that job. And training, and all the training is free. They take care of all of it. The companies give them grants so they can get the training, and they can roll right into that position. And they have placement specialists that work with them to get them to that next level. And then once they're in the company, they upskill them while they're with the company so they can get that next promotion. So there are organizations, my point is that there's organizations that do it really, really well, because I don't think that either the VA, the Department of Labor, or DOD really does a great job at it. TAP is a joke. I'm going to say it. TAP is a joke. They got it being taught by people who have never actually gone and looked for a job. They got these people teaching it. I showed my TAP counselor. I showed him my offer letter that I had from Accenture. He'd never seen one. I'm like, how are you teaching this?
Well, he'd never seen an offer letter.
He'd never seen an offer letter. He never looked for a job. He went straight from the Navy to doing a TAP thing.
Yeah,
we got to bill it for you.
Yeah, that is like a really good point. And I like how you pointed out the Department of Labor, the Department of Veteran Affairs, and the DOD, the three heads, and they all point at each other about that. You that leads it, but honestly, do we really want the Department of Defense helping service members transition? Probably not. They're very effective at what they're doing, warheads on foreheads. Department of Labor, I mean, yeah, and they actually do play a role in our transition classes that we take. You just talked about TAP GPS, or I think it's like DRS or something like that for the Marine Corps. Sorry, Marines. I mess up all the acronyms all the time. But they do teach classes. And then you got the Department of Veteran Affairs, but that's a very very big organizations, but they're so overtasked and oversaturated. They
are, and they're good people. The people that work at the VA get such a bad rap. They are good people who want to be there. And I swear, everyone I've ever experienced and worked with, I'm working on with someone at the one of the chief innovation officers at the VA, and we're building a drone delivery capability for veterans in rural areas and disaster affected areas that get hit by like a hurricane or something like that. I mean, these people are the smartest people on the planet, and they want to help veterans. And someday I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna get a job working for them.
And that's like where you hit the nail right on that head when you said the community has to be involved, or the community has picked up the slack. But that's exactly where it should be. It should be the communities pulling veterans in and helping them reintegrate. And there's so many organizations out there. I think something about like 40,000 organizations out there that are trying to help veterans transition. And
I know that 40,000 are good though. I mean, let's be straight. I mean, some organizations are just shit. And there are ones that are really, really good, and there's some that are just trying to get that not-for-profit status and get their name out there and get a few bucks. It's true, but not all of them. But some of them are not great.
And some communities are better than others. Like I'll have to say, like San Diego is pretty damn good.
Yeah, they are.
They are very active. In fact, we are actually really highly involved with them and promote an application that they have people do. The little checklist that you get whenever you go through TAPS class that they throw at you and then you lose it. Well, they created a digital like checklist that you can actually go through. It's all free. It's, we have it at the top of every single episode, that little URL code. That is an app that will actually help you track your transition.
No kidding. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And it literally has like all the organizations that you were talking about. It has exclusively our podcast on it. It's a really good application and literally gives you like percentage mark on where you need to be. And it's like, oh, did you enroll in your TRICARE? Did you enroll in your Dental Concordia? Did you do vision? Oh, hey, by the way, did you change start your VGLI? There's.
But how do we replicate that? That's great for San Diego. How do we replicate
that's national
across? Huh?
It's national.
No kidding. Yeah. Oh my God, this is the first time hearing of it.
Yeah, and they use it for ETS sponsor. So have you ever heard of ETS program?
No, I did ACP, American Corporate Partner.
ACP is amazing, man. ACP is.
I'm still in touch with my mentor to this day. I still talk to him.
Yeah, Raul, he's probably going to listen to this. He's my mentor, and we talk about things all the time. Sometimes I can't make my meetings, but he's a busy man, just like me, so we both understand. And that's the thing. Like, there's all these community resources, and ETS sponsorship is also nationwide. That also works with the Legion, and works with all these organizations. And I don't just put this URL up here in this top right-hand corner just to make me feel better. I get no money from it. I put it in there because it is actually a tool to help people through their transition.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I really, really sticks out with me, besides the fact that I couldn't find a job for a long time, and I had been educated more than most, and I kept thinking to myself, this is probably why people are killing themselves. Like, people don't have a sense of purpose and employment, and they feel like their best days are behind them, and they just get sunk into this hole of depression. because they don't know what's next, and the sense of purpose is so important that having these resources becomes the key to saving people's lives. You know, that, I mean, think about it. If you're going down a tunnel and someone picks up the phone and calls you and says, hey, we'd like to have, you know, a talk about you taking a job with our company. What the hell? That's straight adrenaline, man. That is a high, you know, that you're changing someone's life. So I do all I can to promote these organizations and to do translation to companies. Like my company does a really good job, and other companies, I do a lot of volunteer work to educate them on how to hire those veterans and how to make those connections and how to have those interviews in a meaningful way that they don't ask people, have you ever seen dead bodies? Have you ever shot anybody?
Question. All the
and you know, and they do it. But if I can educate them, and you can educate them, Chris, you can educate them. If we educate them, then maybe the next brother or sister that goes to do an interview isn't walking into a knucklehead ceremony.
There's a couple of things that you're doing, man. I know you sit on a couple of boards. Checking, I was wondering, there was two that I wanted to ask specifically because it's tailored to, you know, the mission that Chris and Yogi put together here. Tell me about, or tell the listeners about your advocacy for, you know, especially with the inclusion, diversity amongst minorities as well, but then tying that into with the vet jobs and the military spouse jobs that you really drill down on.
Yeah, I get really excited and passionate about vet jobs and military spouse jobs. And let me talk about military spouse job for a second. One of the most underutilized, underpaid group of people are military spouses. Most are incredibly well educated. They're dynamic. They're resilient. They're loyal as heck. But people don't see their value because they have gaps in their career, or they don't know how to articulate because they had to spend the last 3 years being a caregiver to their military spouse. And I didn't say man or woman, I said spouse because, you know, we need to identify. And help and educate companies on what a military spouse brings to the table is the greatest thing that we can do. Now, the way that the founder, Deb Kleppel, why she stood up military spouse jobs, kind of the one chord that really stuck out with me is she goes, I wanted military spouses to have their own identity. She goes, their identity for their entire, as long as they were married, was Mr. and Mrs. Spouse, right? They didn't have their own identity, their own way of making a living, their own professional career. So if there's something happened to their spouse, or their spouse had divorced them or whatever, they were having to start from scratch. So their focus on valuing the military spouse as an individual with a brain, with capacity, with something to offer and give, it really, really inspires me. And I love helping them out with that. I bring my consulting experience to support the board and help them do their strategy as much as I can. Same with vet jobs and identifying funders, identifying ways that they can get into the community and reach veterans and make the communities better. That's something I'm really excited about, specifically in Chicago. I've been really, really active in trying to build out programs in the south and west side of Chicago where they really need help.
That's
it's
cool.
such it's such a
go ahead,
it's
Chris.
such an untapped resource. Navy spouses, like, think about it. You're forward deployed to Japan. You got a medical facility, most likely, and they are hurting for medical staff because the military doesn't fill all the billets in the hospital. Let's just do that for an example, right? And you have Red Cross over there, and they're accepting volunteers that are qualified. But one of the
Volunteers,
right? But one of the problems is their bureaucracy takes so long. So let's say you're a Navy spouse, you got a profession in the medical field, and you you're overqualified for the position that you're volunteering for. But
Oh,
they
that always
don't,
happens.
yeah, and they don't get back to
And they
you.
pay you peanuts. They don't pay you what you're worth either.
No, and it's 11 months later, and then they finally approve you. But you, in the meantime, you know, you just lost a lot of your skill set because a lot of those jobs it requires you to actually practice the job. You know, it's perishable. It's a perishable skill.
And maintains CPE or professional education as you're going along. And that's assuming, Chris, that's assuming that they let you work in that country. Most countries, you're not even allowed to work.
No, it's crazy. Sometimes you get out of the service and stuff like that. Take corpsmen. They're qualified to do a lot of stuff. And they might have been given the jabs and doing lots of stuff. You get out, dude, they barely qualified to push a bedpan because they don't have those civil certs, you know, but they got lots of experience, but there's just not the paper. And that's incredibly frustrating for a lot of people. You know, like one of the things I made sure I did is I made sure I had that A&P get out because I heard so many horror stories of so many people getting out after 20 some years of service and they got to get out and they got to be a ramp rat, go fueling airplanes, moving.
Oh.
And that's it. And they were quality assurance for decades.
Yeah. That's why I went to grad school twice. I was like, dude, I was afraid to have to, you know, be some guy that, oh, you're a good dude, but we're going to put you in a factory and we're going to, you know, not that there's anything working with factory. I just know it's not for me. And I wanted to have the opportunity to choose my career versus having it chosen for me.
You know, Mark, who he drilled down on that a lot several interviews ago. Straight up, dude, what is your opinion about the necessity of get your college while you're in before you get out?
It took me like 13 years to get my bachelor's degree. I was piecemealing it together. Then I got 4 years. I got 2 grad degrees. But I think having an idea, a bachelor's degree is not, college is not everything. Having an idea what you want to do and doing certs, doing trades. You got tradesmen making tons of money more than college graduates. So I think the most important thing you can do, whether it's college, whether it's trade, whether it's certifications, the most important thing you can do is look inside and do self-discovery. Find out what makes you happy, what gives you joy, and pursue that.
I dig it. So with a lot of those things that you were doing, especially you got a bunch of national boards you got going on here, you know, do you believe that your time in service and the things that you had earned, your certs, your degrees, your things you volunteered in, how did that fuel or be able to help you out with your ability to influence in your post-service roles?
2 ways. One, the network that you build as you're going through all those things allows you to connect with people you normally wouldn't have connected with. And the second thing is it allows you and exposes you to different opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise known were out there if you wouldn't have put yourself in those situations.
No, I dig it, man. Absolutely. Always feed it. Always like, you know, it's
because I don't think I'm any smarter than I was yesterday. But you know what? For some reason, I'm going to answer a question differently than I would have 5 years ago. I don't think about it. I don't think, oh, I'm smart. Like I didn't go to Northwestern and come out with my degree and go, I am way smarter today. This is the shit. I am the shit. This is it. It didn't happen.
oh man. So you got to have a lot of fun taking a lot of these experience stuff like that. Does it fuel and how does it help you out with your keynote speaking and everything that you're doing with all these crowds? I see you do stuff. I mean, I'm sitting over here looking at you hear Fortune 500. Oh yeah, man, that's hardcore. You over here talking at Fortune 100 companies, man. That's pretty boss, dude. What's up?
You know what? Whether it's a university, let me back it up. I had the opportunity to speak as a keynote speaker at University of San Diego, their business MBA, massive supply chain, massive global leadership class the day before I graduated from Kellogg, right? So I had to go to San Diego and I jump on a plane and fly to go to my own graduation. And I think that one thing I've taken away and I've learned is everybody has this idea you have to operate in a certain way to be at a Fortune 100 or whatever. You have to be more straight-laced or structured or whatever, molded, right? And I'll tell you, the biggest lesson I learned is be you. Be you. Because when I put all that vernacular consultant speak stuff, when I put all that aside and I was my authentic self, and through my experiences, and I could share those experiences and tell stories, because chiefs can tell great stories. When I could sit there and tell a client or a fellow board member or a veteran, it doesn't matter if it's someone who got out after 4 years or someone that just got out of jail or someone that's the CEO of a global company. It doesn't matter. If you talk to them and I want to help you is in your heart. Those words, I want to help you, is in your heart. You're going to connect with them. And I think that there's a difference between, it lends to the difference between networking and authentic relationship building. Networking is, what can you do for me? Authentic relationship is, how can I make this person successful? What can I do for them? And I'm telling you, I believe it with all my heart that when you do that, it changes your posture, it changes your breathing, it changes your energy, and you bring people along where they don't think you're trying to get something out of them, because you're not. You're just trying to make them successful because they're cool.
That's a whole entire servant leadership mantra right there. You know, like it's not doing things for people. That's not what I'm trying to say. Whenever people hear servant leadership, they're like, "Whoa, what does that mean? Are you out there like serving them? You know, like how do you understand what it means if you don't look at what a servant does for people? Like, how do I serve you best? How do I serve my junior sailors? How do I serve you? Like, how am I going to help you? And then it turns around and it ends up helping yourself after you're, you know, and the big long run, you know, it's building that relationship. And, you know, it's not always about, like I was saying,
it's never in front of you. It's never the stuff in front of you. It's always, it'll circle, watch it circle back. It always circles back, man.
Yeah. And man, once I like, and you know who taught me a lot about servant leadership? This guy right up here wearing the red veteran shirt. He taught me a lot about it. Yeah. So this guy, I used to work with him or work for him. He was my senior chief.
We were on the same team, dude. We were on the same team. Cool.
But I learned
work together
about that.
We work with.
Yeah, like when he took a chance on me, bro, and then that's how I learned what it was all about, man. Take a chance on people; they'll surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's awesome, dude. That is awesome. I think we covered a lot, man. I just want to make sure that we got it all before we move over to the save rounds and alibis. Like, is there anything else you want to mention before we go into the save rounds?
No, I think we're good. Thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun. I love hanging out with other Navy chiefs. It's always a blast.
Oh, but you got to pretend like you're hearing it for the first time.
So, all right, guys, let's move over to save rounds and alibis. Angel, what content do you recommend to our listeners to digest while they're transitioning? Or shoot, anytime, man.
I think you sign up for, if you can get into a four block program, I think they're fantastic. I think Wounded Warriors got some great programs as well. Reach out and look on vet jobs for career options there, and start doing a self-reflection on who you are. Because if you don't fix you and you don't have a good sense of who you are, you got to be able to answer 3 questions. Who am I? What do I want to do every day when I grow up that it won't feel like work? And what do I love doing? And what do I love? They might be the same thing, but if you can't answer those questions, you're going to be spinning your heels for a long time.
Along that, knowing yourself, what will you go back and tell your 20-year-old self to start doing then to prepare you for transition on your way up?
My 20-year-old self was trying to chase girls and run around the world and do crazy stuff until I had kids. What would I tell my 20-year-old self? You are capable of more than you even know. You don't even recognize the person you're going to become. It's freaking fantastic. And all you have to do is stop trying to be someone else's idea of successful person. Be your successful person. Own it. Own and love yourself. Love yourself.
I love that response, man.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming, dude. But that is so far. That's straight bullseye right there, dude.
I always second guess myself. I was always trying to be what a command master wanted me to be, or trying to be what this guy wanted to be, or whatever. And then I did the same crap when I was trying to go into corporate America. And I was like trying to tell them, doing an interview, telling people that I could do this and be this and be this. No, be you. Celebrate the awesomeness and the accomplishments of you. Oh, the biggest lesson. Don't go out in the corporate and the corporate world and look for a job and lead with "I'm a veteran." Be great in your own capacity and your own skill set, and let them find out that you're a veteran as a footnote, and then blow their doors out. Don't lead with "I'm a veteran." That. When you brand yourself as a veteran, you are leveraging. Nobody wants to hire a veteran to go veteran something shit. They want you to be a person who can fix some stuff, who can lead some people, who can solve problems. Lead with that. And I got all those skills. And I was in the military when I did that stuff. And let me tell you a story about how I sucked at it.
But now I love that, because you don't want to give them everything all at once. You want to hook them. And you want to hook them with that, I'm a problem solver.
Don't tip your hand, bro.
Yeah. And then when they see you got, a royal flush, to like, damn, dude, I guess I was a veteran to boot. All right, man. You're not looking for drinking buddies. Just remember that. Right? You're not looking for
don't try
buddies.
And be their idea of what you want. It's okay to push back. Yeah. A job is a marriage. You got to be tied into them, and they got to be tied into you, because you're going to be there, and you don't want to go to work and kick the dog. Screw that.
Yeah. So speaking into that, brother, when you were transitioning and you reintegrating, how did you keep the mindset that you had? What was your secret sauce, man, to keep that right mindset? And what would you call that?
I didn't. I sucked at it. I was horrible. I made a ton of mistakes.
Yeah, but you learned.
I mean, the one mindset that I did have, and I'm saying that now because I realized how many mistakes I was making, and I'm just being real about it. I think that the one thing that I kept with me all the time that got me in front of people was volunteering and helping people. And my friend said, he's a Marine, he's a great mentor. His name's Rodrigo. He said, don't ever go out there and be someone who wants to go out and impress people, because the person you're trying to impress is seldom the one you are actually, or they don't give a crap. It's always a person behind you that's watching what you're doing when you think nobody's looking. That is the one that's going to champion you and sponsor you and make sure you're being elevated and put in the right light. So be good and be authentic.
Bro, it sounds like you're like, man, I messed it all up, but I heard something that you did right, bro. The being active. You were active, bro. I love that, man. Especially when you talked about be active in your community, man, and what you were doing. Oh man, and your advice. Oh
Because you
no,
don't
that's
know.
solid.
You don't know when you're going to talk to
Yeah,
someone and it's either going to change your life or their
yeah,
life. And you know what? You don't get those opportunities. Those opportunities don't come to you on your couch. They don't do it. You got to get
no,
off your ass and go out in the community and make a difference and connect with someone. And you don't know if someone's getting ready to drive off a bridge and you connect with them and you keep them from doing that, or you.
They
It's such
remember
a big
that day.
deal.
They remember that conversation that you're there making a difference, and
You
they're
stopped and you smiled at me and you asked me about my kids after the
yeah.
last meeting we had. You cared. I mattered to you. Dude, I always see that shit.
bro. They're not going to remember what you and I say. They're not going to remember exactly what we said.
Remember the did
No,
though.
they're going to remember how you made them feel.
Exactly. And if you have that whole entire respect thing down, that civility that we were talking about, bro, you're gonna be killing it, man.
Man, Angel.
And you got to create walking billboards. Create walking billboards. And what I mean by that is if people know you're a good person and they know you're interested in, we'll just say, project management, right? And you have a background and they know your story. And something comes across their desk or something comes across a friend who knows a friend, they're advocating for you. You can go on your job hunt, you can go search, or you can create advocates and walking billboards and people that are having the exposure to opportunities that bring them to you. I got this job because someone knew me and said, Angel, we want to bring you this. It took me forever to get in here because they're picky as heck. But I fooled them. No, but they brought these opportunities in and be other people's billboard. There is nothing cooler than walking into a room and saying, have you met my friend John? My friend John has all these qualifications, or my friend Sally has all these qualifications. They are a great person. I would stand behind them. And you read off the thing. That person, John or Sally, just sits there and goes, oh my God, I matter to them. Like this person really knows my life history. And you look good doing it because it shows that you're not someone that's trying to get shit out of people.
Well, you're giving credit where credit's due. The integrity's there,
Yeah.
the credibility's there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn, he saw something. And now all of a sudden they're going to start making that difference because somebody took a chance on them. And sometimes
Absolutely. Totally.
yeah. Man, I got to ask you something, man. So you've got all these things that it is absolutely crystal clear that you want to make a difference. You've got your hands tied in with Coalition for Housing, the ABLE Network, Vet Jobs, Marriage, speaking at universities, companies, just your Latino Caucus Foundation. How does anybody listening get hold of you, and how can they get hold of you? Because I think it's clear what you want to do.
Let's see. They can, it's angel.torres@ey.com. It's very simple. I'm the only Angel Torres, I guess, at EY, which is really weird because we have 300,000 employees and there's only one of me. That's just sad.
I thought you were going to give everybody your 900
also
number.
get a hold of me and look at the Vet Jobs website on the board of directors, the governance, National ABLE, or go to angel@veteranengagement.com.
Oh, so you got your own website, man. Go on, dude. That's what's up, dude.
I have my own company.
Oh, man. So,
Hey,
hey,
brother, thank you.
Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Hey, Angel, thanks for coming on here, bro. Hanging out with Nooch and I. Like you said, man, it's always awesome whenever you get a bunch of chiefs together, especially whenever you get anchor chucker in between a master chief and a senior chief retired. You know what I mean?
It's the little things.
No, bro, I really do appreciate you coming on here, man, and hanging out with our listeners. We look forward to the involvement that our listeners are going to get from you. So, and to everybody else that's out there listening, all right, we got Angel Torres. He's a veteran that didn't just sit around and wait for life to come to him. He went out there and he took action. He had that mindset. He messed up a whole bunch of things, but hey, he has been involved in so many different things. And guess what? We all have the same ability. It's your guys' transition. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. Take charge of it. Mil2Vet out.